Rinse, wash, repeat. Okay, but today we say thank you to the ACC, OU, and ESPN's top 100 list because the disrespect for Oklahoma State and my gunny's still happening. I don't get it.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more. As playoffs wind down and the summer heats up, FanDuel is hooking you up with a booster bonus daily, meaning there's something in this for everyone every day, all summer long. Make sure you visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Meanwhile, we get you shift in the conversation of a Cowboy that's already frustrating to say a Cowboy in the ESPN Top 100, or should we say the ESPN TV network Top 100. So we have a bone to pick, of course, but we do have some flowers to give because there's plenty of guys from the Big 12 that are represented, and it is a good thing. I think that by the end of the season, it's going to be interesting to see what this list looks like, health being the main contributing factor in my personal opinion. But we're going to check out the depth chart. Part of the depth chart is having an exorbitant amount of dudes that can get it done. We do know, or at least I feel it's safe to say, that the depth is significantly better. Just like I think it's safe to say that a 57-year-old Mike Gundy, almost 60, well past the man of 40, is not acting like a 57-year-old dude, not acting like a guy that's almost 60, nor is he reacting or coaching that way. There's been so many positive reinforcing things that have happened from last season. If Mike Gundy, found a new love for drawing up some of the X's and the O's for the special team stuff, and now seeing what Sean Snyder's been able to do, right? Mike Gundy has mentioned Sean Snyder's good at the little bitty meticulous things that most people in the country may not be able to hone in on. So if you give somebody like Hudson Clark, a 6'2", 220-pound, 4'5'9", 40 guy with a Sean Snyder, that's going to do wonders. If you take the kicker, Logan Ward, yes, we've had to bring in a multitude of kickers to have a little bit of a competition, but that was pre-Sean Snyder. Can he expedite the learning curve rapidly? I would say likely yes. He has a history of doing so and being a big-time special teams guy coming from his dad's Bill Snyder tree. Again, this is not an aging Mike Gundy. This is a youthful Mike Gundy. This NIL era has changed a lot for him. And, he gets, a kick out of seeing guys like Ollie Gordon get representative. Just like we all get a kick out of seeing so many Big 12 guys, even though it's still not enough. Ollie Gordon came in at number 8 in the country. I don't think that there's that many people ahead of him. 4 or 5, maybe, yes, sure, if you look at the top 8, but not all of them. So I would put Ollie Gordon in the top 5, but maybe I'm a little bit biased. I'm not biased to loving the fact that several other dudes got in, like Kobe Bryant from KU, Taj Brooks from Texas Tech, Shador Sanders, Colorado, Travis Hunter, Colorado, Jalen Daniels, KU, Cam Rising, Utah, Titero McMillan, Noah Fafita, Takario Davis, and the beast, Jonah Savaena. Probably messed up that name again. But that dude was starting as a true freshman. He's going to put himself up in the pantheon of Arizona and possibly Big 12, a.k.a. rolling into draft-worthy status here pretty soon. And then sandwiched in there, you got Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson. I do know he runs a 4.3 40. All right, I get it. I'm with it. I love it. I do want to see what he's able to do throughout the entirety of a season when defenses have ways to schematically plan for him and know some of his tendencies. We should know a decent amount of that by the time we play Kansas State. But there was also some surprises. R.J. Harvey, he could definitely have made this top 100 list. Devin Neal at KU. If injuries are a factor, okay, I can buy into that a little bit. But talent-wise, he could easily end up on the top 100 by the end of the season. When you're looking at the top 100 players, for Oklahoma State, there's only one Cowboy. And that is disappointing because last season, there was 5 players in America, 5, that had more tackles than Nick Martin. Only one of them is returning for 2024 in the Power 4 conferences. There was another dude that put up crazy numbers that is going to Old Dominion. So let's say he's, behind that. That's okay. So one Power 4 dude and one dude at Old Dominion. Now, I think it's fair to say, what would Nick Martin do? I mean, heck, even Danny Stutzman, if he was at Old Dominion, like you're talking earth-shattering records, most likely. But that's just not good enough. Nick Martin is. He deserves all of the respect. He garners all the attention, but just not enough, okay? One person in the country returning in the Power 4 with more tackles. And then you look at sacks, because tackles aren't the overall metric that determines whether you're going to be a really good defender. From a sacks perspective, he was better than almost 80% of the top 30 linebackers returning for 2024. And then you take it a level further, tackles for loss at 16. There's yet again only one person in the country returning for 2024 that has more tackles for loss than Nick Martin. And that is Miami's Francisco Mauigoa. So Nick Martin's in very elite company. Yet whenever you look at some of the top 100 stuff, there's dudes on there that he's significantly better than. At least statistically, maybe he's not 6'4", maybe not. But I don't think he needs to be 6'4" or have all of the prestige of LSU to get the attention that Harold Perkins is going to get. Just like Barrett Carter, Clemson, good. I don't think he's better. Jack Kaiser, Notre Dame, good. Definitely not better. Small Mondone Jr. at Georgia, very good. May have messed up his name. Not better than Nick Martin. Statistically speaking, certainly Nick Martin would not even be behind Danny Stutzman. Danny Stutzman would likely be the backup to Nick Martin if he were to be in Stillwater, Oklahoma. There's a reason that we beat them in 2021. There's a reason we beat them in 2023. Now that they're out of the conference, there's this crazy misconception that Oklahoma State is scared to play OU. I don't feel that, and I don't think the players feel that. Matter of fact, I think the players would have nothing better than a fun time with another opportunity to not only play OU, but Texas. Give us one more year. It'd be great, but it ain't going to happen. Just like at the end of the year, if all of these dudes stay healthy, they're not all going to do better than Nick Martin. They're not all going to be above Nick Martin. Hardly at all. Then we have the depth chart. Okay. We did cover the Our Lads depth chart last week, and in an unaggressive, right, not funky, fresh, fired up Friday method, we're just going to chill out a bit and talk about the offensive side of the ball. We'll save some room. Let it breathe for the defensive side of the ball, and I want y'all's participation. When you look at the offensive side of the ball from a quarterback perspective, yes, he does have the nickname of Alan Crawdaddy Bowman, but he hasn't been doing that anymore. He's been in the pocket. He has dramatically improved in the small sample size that we have. So I expect him to have a very massive year. If something were to happen, I feel amazing with Garrett Rangel. I think all of us collectively feel very good about Zane Flores' natural capabilities to just walk in and be able to do some things that are pretty special and pretty rare. Not to mention the fact that you have Maylock A. Smith, right? He's ready to go from a size perspective. He needs a little bit more weight, but he can spin that thing, and he can look at the backup to him, the walk-on, Garrett Wilson. He's not a scrub. He's 6'2", 220 pounds. Running back, of course, Ollie Gordon, the All-American level dude for sure that should and could end up in New York at the end of the season. Then you have Trent Allen, followed by Sessi Vealahe and Rodney Fields. Fullback, Jake Schultz, Luke McIndoe, Bryce Drummond. I mentioned, I think athletically, Bryce Drummond is going to be able to kind of sprinkle himself in at some point in time in the season, but they're going to trust Luke McIndoe to not only do his job, but be able to verbally communicate things accurately and adequately in enough time to make some stuff happen. Tight end, Tyler Foster, Quentin Stewart, Josh Ford. And guys, I know I'm not alone here. Give us a couple blowouts so we can get a little bit of Tabor Shetron. Whenever you look at the tight ends, I do think Quentin Stewart, because of the leadership and understanding, will start at that spot. But there's a good possibility that Josh Ford could end up as the tight end number 2 as the season progresses. Then we go to wide receiver. We'll go to Z with Dijon Stribling, followed by AyoShotmide-King. Guys, this 6'5", 215-pound dude with like Leon Johnson vertical, Leon Johnson level broad jump with more physicality. He's going to be special to watch. And it's going to be special for us all to know that behind him, I think we could count on somebody like a Cale Cabanis or even a Tyke Andrews. Guys, the Enid High, Rashawn Woods product, Tyke Andrews, he's going to pop up and do some stuff here before too long as well. Let's move to the wide, the slot receiver position. Of course, Brennan Presley. I think you could go back and forth between Gavin Freeman and DeJuan Lofton. I think that's been happening. So you could do whatever you want here, but Gavin Freeman athletically, I think, does maybe add a little fraction of an inch more than maybe DeJuan Lofton here. And then after him, Kyler Pearson looked phenomenal in the spring. He knows what to do if he gets asked to play running back even, right? That's the versatility that he brings to the table. He's going to be in the mix to some degree. Then you got to move on to the X. Of course, Rashad Owens, 6'3" or 220 pounds. 230 pounds. That's tight end size, but he does some rare stuff physically that I think are going to put him potentially into the top of conversations at the end of the year as well. Talon Shetron, one of the fastest players on the team. We know that he's a big get for a reason. We just need to see it kind of burst out onto the scene here. And then after him, guys, I think Cam Hurd and Jalen Pope kind of rounded out. Cam Hurd, somebody that is good enough to definitely play. I think the development of Jalen Pope is kind of starting to get there. Right tackle, Jake Springfield, of course, followed by Noah McKinney, Jack Endine. Jack Endine's going to push because he is that good, but I think so is Noah McKinney. You continue to right guard, Preston Wilson. Yeah, Jason Queso Brooks, of course. I think Calvin Harvey's a big body, good-sized dude that could potentially help out here. Center, Joe Mahalski, Austin Kowecki, and Jacoby Sanders. They could switch in and out, but they do provide two kind of different things. Left guard, Cole Birmingham, followed by a veteran, Taylor Materko, followed by a big dude that we were able to convince not to go to TCU and Davis Dotson. Then you have, in my opinion, the other NFL dude next to potentially Jim Mahalski, Dalton Cooper, with Isaiah Glass right behind him with all of his starts coming over from Arizona State, and Jamison Mujia rounding it out. The Okie, I think, would be a very good candidate to fit in that spot. Athletically, he gets it. He's there. He's ready. We just need to see it kind of translate on the field. We need to see the Big 12 versus ACC translate, just like you need to see your dollar bills translate with FanDuel. You got to get in on the FanDuel action as quickly as possible because the money-making season's right around the corner. And they know that you're not getting all of the squeeze out of the sports that you typically do. So FanDuel's helping you out by allowing you to basically, whenever you want, open the app, dream up a bet, and bada boom, bada bing, bada bang, make it happen. This summer, FanDuel's hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. So there's something in this for everyone every day all summer long. Make sure that you go on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. If you want to go see Jackson, a Holiday, and the Orioles in action, if you want to see the Braves battle through all of this adversity and all of these injuries to make a run at a wild card spot, make sure you go visit FanDuel.com today. And, of course, whatever the odds are for the Cowboys, make it happen. Hammer the over. And we'll all thank each other later. We'll also, I think, be thanking each other later for the ACC moves that likely do happen. So there's been a lot of conversation recently in regards to potentially, maybe Washington State and Oregon State still end up in the Big 12. Maybe ESPN and other financial endeavors will pop up if we do, in fact, add those two ball clubs. General scheme, I don't have a problem with it. But if that takes away from some of the ACC draws that we could potentially pull over, I'm all for it. We don't want any part of teams like SMU. And I know Pitt occasionally can pop up and be good, but realistically speaking, I don't know if they would even be the best candidate. So if it's going to be Florida State and Clemson that go somewhere, and really the SEC doesn't want them, and really the Big Ten doesn't want them, which more and more seems likely, then the Big 12's a great destination. And that does more solidification, in my opinion, for the Big 12 because it gives a travel partner for Cincinnati and UCF and West Virginia. So if we isolate them further by just continuing to matriculate out west, I think that could have some negative ramifications, not maybe in the here and now, but in the future. If it doesn't ever get to that crazy 2-split division thing, that regardless, I think Oklahoma State, or at least monetarily right now, Oklahoma State would be a part of. I mean, heck, it'd even get better now that we have EA Sports giving us that tier 1 My Gundy money, baby. But even under all of that, there's selective teams that we should bring in. So you let me know down in the comment section for those of you on YouTube, my podcast, and people out there. You know what to do. Hit the stars, leave a review at the end of this thing here. But I want to hear from y'all as well. So find a way to reach out to me on the social. It's not going to be on X. You can also hit me up on Facebook, which is O State all day. Instagram, O State all day. I'm not great at Instagram, but it is what it is. I have it. The rest of this whole breakdown, to me, is pretty funny. And hearts, yeah, they're wild sometimes, but they're also wildly accurate sometimes as well. They helped us out, and they gave all of us a little kind of sneak peek as to what the fact or fiction would be in regards to viewership between the ACC and the Big 12, because at the end of the day, it's the viewership and the dollar bills that really, equal the most. And as it pertains to this whole conversation, right, with the ACC and the Big 12, Heartland Sports put out a publication, and part of the fact or fiction was, is Oklahoma or is the Big 12 going to outperform the ACC? And the overwhelming answer was yes. I had the article pulled up, but I just lost it. Generally speaking, was talking about how the Big 12, it's much more loaded from a scheduling perspective. And the ACC, there's going to be a really top-heavy battle for supremacy. There's not going to be a possibility for most of the teams in the conference to actually jump up and knock off the top 3 teams. The Big 12 is the exact opposite. You're not going to have a lot of games where it's not a nail-biter. So you're going to have to win with wars of attrition in the Big 12, as opposed to the ACC. I mean, there's guaranteed wins built in there. If you rolled out some of your second team, you'd still likely win a good portion of those games. So that's the differentiation between the ACC and the Big 12. So they said fact, yes, that the Big 12 would outperform the TV viewership because the way that the Big 12 is designed, every game means more because every game as the season progresses is knocking somebody out of contention to make a run at the Big 12 title. So the more intense that it gets week by week by week, the longer the season goes, the more fun it is going to be to watch. On the other side, with the ACC, you're not going to have that. By halfway through the season in conference play, you're going to know who the main 3 or 4 teams are and who the teams have no chance. Big 12, they can jump up and get everybody for the most part, unless you have senior leadership Oklahoma State has. But I think this is a no-brainer. Just like this is kind of like the Pac-12 writing on the wall, right? You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a massive enter and know everybody everywhere to just see the basic writing on the wall. If contractually you have to make this thing happen, but you can't honor the contract because you got these 2 teams leaving, I know that there's a lot of wishful, hopeful wonderment to keep the ACC afloat because technically the Pac-12 or the Pac-2 is a thing with a commissioner that is trying to help propagate what could potentially be for Washington State and Oregon State, and we get it. But I think it could be too much if you start creeping over that 18, 20 range. I think 20 is the number that we should end at. I think that's the number I thought of a little while back because I wanted Brett Yormark to continue to be aggressive, right? To be at the forefront of this whole So maybe I don't love some of the branding, right, for 20% of the stake of the conference. Maybe I don't love it. But financially, if it gets you, within striking distance of the Big 12 or the SEC, then it makes sense, right? The proprietary third-party company or the branding logo, like the Love stuff, it wouldn't be a 20%, but it would still be something that I think could be beneficial. The ACC, they need to do it. If the Big 12 is not going to do it, then the ACC needs to do it just to stay alive. But even then, I don't know that they're able to stay alive long enough to keep Florida State and Clemson. So they might as well join the Big 12, I guess. And I guess we have some thanks to OU, and I'm sure to some degree Texas. But before we do that, I have to remind all of you fine folks out here that get by in the season. Whether you're going to check out the Cowboys or if you've got some music, some comedy, some theater that you want to, they have you covered there as well. You don't have to worry about the stressors any much with travel and worrying about the rentals and everything because of Game Time tickets. Not only do the deals get better and better and better as the event is about to start, but even up to an hour after, they just keep getting better, which is why they have their lowest price guarantee. They're taking the guesswork out of you buying tickets. They have so many ridiculous benefits, like the views from your seats. It's panoramic, so there's no ridiculousness of you getting put in the wrong position. And that doesn't unfortunately happen sometimes because they have flash deals. They have zone deals. You can save even more when you choose the section and let Game Time pick the seats for you. Plus, they have the lowest price guarantee, meaning they'll credit you back 110% of the difference if you find something better because it ain't happening. The Game Time ticket coverage means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Make sure you take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets, Cowboy football tickets, music, comedy, theater. You got to get it. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That is Locked On College, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create that account and redeem that code Locked On College. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It is not guaranteed, or at least it previously was not guaranteed, that the Cowboys would sell out Boone Pickens Stadium, especially not before the season started. So I'm not going to stand up here and pound on my chest saying that, we're the greatest thing since sliced bread, but we're way ahead of Baylor. Guys, even Baylor alums will tell you that it's really a rare, very rare occasion to see it sold out. But how is this possible? Well, it's because of OU, of course. So we should all be indebted to the Sooners because we get Bedlam every single week, or so it's supposed to be. But here we are. It is fun that OU Nation did kind of, go above and beyond to push out as much as physically possible the idea that without us in the conference and without Bedlam, that you're never going to sell out, right? Maybe it was part of the you got to buy the season tickets to get there type of thing, possibility. But I think now this is the first step in us realizing that if we take this capitalization extremely seriously, which I think that we do, the move of Paul Randolph, the hire of Sean Snyder, this has got a different feel to it. And what all these coaches are able to do is huge. But isn't it funny that without OU, without Texas, the conference is seemingly continuing to get better, and Oklahoma State specifically themselves in a position to explore maybe the upper deck so we can go holler at Boone at some point in time or just get closer to being closer. But it starts with things like this. Well, it happens again with the season that we're capable of having. Big 12 title trophy in hand would be ideal. But I'll be real. If we go to the Big 12 title game and we lose, and then still somehow we get in the CFP and then we win a game or two, it kind of changes the narrative. But winning the Big 12 title, I think, should be huge. It should be the primary goal. I'm sure it is the primary goal. That's what Mike Gundy's talked about for years. He didn't really get, too far ahead of his skis and making too many predictions. It's a different time. It's a different ride, and we don't need OU to do it. I would love to play OU Bedlam. I think, by and large, most of us are not afraid by any stretch of the imagination to play OU. I mean, it used to be the thing where you win that game and you get to brag at work for 365 days. Well, since they tucked tail and ran out of Dodge real quick, fast, and in a hurry, it's kind of funny that they say we'll never sell out, that their fan base was the only reason it would ever sell out. And y'all know, right, to non-Oklahoma State fans, I'm not being sarcastic. I do quite often, and sometimes I take things a little too far, I'm sure. But this is not being sarcastic at all. It is what it is. We are where we are. But if you do those things, you sell out again. Then it becomes not just a thing, it becomes a trend. Once it becomes a trend, then the upper deck can be a trending conversation. Then no matter what happens in the landscape of college football, because as it sits right now, if it, the Mark Emmert conversation, I believe it was, where the divisions are split in two, predicated primarily upon financial value exceeding $100 million profit, and Oklahoma State was like 100.4. Baylor barely made the cut. If you do the CFP run, you do the Big 12 title, especially if you have it in hand, then you get the respect that you deserve from ESPN a little bit more next season, from the AP poll a little bit more next season. The upperclassmen are huge unless we don't do everything we can with them. But anywho, I reckon that's all we're going to have for this one right here. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen or your second listen. And if you need to go listen to something else that is absolutely fantastic, I can't believe I'm saying it, go check out Locked On Sooners. Because they're putting up some they have some expectations. And then the new co-host even is phenomenal. Guys, that dude is a killer on a microphone. It's worth the listen, worth the watch, worth the time. And you kind of get to see what OU's having to say out there in the world. Appreciate you bearing with me here, right? And letting me make this one make a little bit more sense. Not hostile, agile, mobile, like we need the Cowboys to be. All right, I'm done. That's it. Have a good weekend. Love you all. Later, taters.